Hello, you're tuned in to Word Power, the podcast where we learn new English words every day.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Mind Matters. I'm Zia, and joining me today, as always, is the insightful Jane.
Hey there, Mind Matters listeners. So glad to be back. We've got a really exciting and, dare I say, brain-boosting topic today, don't we, Zia?
Absolutely, Jane. Today, we're taking a deep dive into advanced thinking. We're going to explore some high level cognitive skills that truly elevate the way we process information, solve problems, and understand the world around us. Think of it as upgrading your mental operating system.
I love that analogy. And for those of you who've been with us since the beginning, some of these concepts might sound familiar. We'll be building on ideas from previous episodes, particularly episode 2 where we discussed hypothesis, and episodes 6 and 7 which covered critical thinking and evaluation. It's like a mental scavenger hunt, connecting all the dots.
Exactly. Let's start with a quick recap on hypothesis. Remember, in episode 2, we defined a hypothesis as a proposed explanation made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. It's an educated guess, a tentative assumption you make before you have all the facts.
Yeah, like when you walk into a room and smell cookies baking, your hypothesis might be, someone is baking chocolate chip cookies. It's a starting point, right? You don't know for sure yet.
Precisely. And that leads us perfectly into our first new high-level skill, infer. This is a big one and often gets confused with other terms. To infer means to deduce or conclude information from evidence and reasoning rather than from explicit statements.
So going back to my cookie example, if I then see a cooling rack full of chocolate chip cookies, I can infer that my hypothesis was correct, even if no one told me directly, "Hey Jane, I just baked chocolate chip cookies."
Spot on. You used observations, the smell, the sight of cookies to reach a logical conclusion. Let's break down the word infer itself. It's pronounced infer. The emphasis is on the second syllable. As for spelling, it's INFER. Pretty straightforward, actually.
And it's interesting how often we do this without even thinking about it. Like, if I see you wearing a thick coat and a scarf in July, I might infer you're either really cold or you're about to film a movie in Alaska. Probably the first one.
Right. It's about reading between the lines, interpreting clues. Doctors infer diagnoses from symptoms, detectives infer motives from evidence. It's not stated directly, but the evidence points towards it.
Any tips for listeners on getting better at inferring? Because it feels like such an intuitive skill.
Absolutely. Practice active observation. Pay attention to details, body language, tone of voice, environmental cues. Ask yourself, what does this suggest rather than just what does this mean? Reading fiction is also fantastic for this, as authors often don't tell you everything directly. They want you to infer character motivations and plot points.
That's a great point, and it makes you a more engaged reader, too. So, if inferring is about concluding from evidence, what about deduce? That's another one that sounds similar.
Excellent question. Deduce is our next skill. While infer often involves a degree of probability or likelihood, deduce is about reaching a conclusion through logical reasoning from known facts or general principles. Think Sherlock Holmes, he deduces.
Ah, the classic. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. That's deduction in a nutshell, right?
Precisely. If all men are mortal and Socrates is a man, then you deduce Socrates is mortal. There's no room for doubt, it's a certainty based on the premises. The word deduce is pronounced D-D-O-S-U, with the stress on the second syllable. Spelling is D-E-D-U-C-E.
So inferring is more like a clever guess based on clues, and deducing is more like a logical calculation that has to be true if the starting facts are true?
That's a fantastic way to put it, Jane. When you infer, you're making an educated guess. When you deduce, you're drawing a necessary conclusion from established facts. Think of it this way. You might infer that someone is upset because they're quiet and frowning, but you could deduce that the water in a kettle is boiling if you know it's been on a hot stove for 10 minutes and you see steam.
That distinction really helps. And it also makes me think about how important it is to have accurate starting facts when you're trying to deduce something. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. The integrity of your premises is crucial for sound deduction. To practice this, try puzzles, logic games, or even just dissecting arguments you hear in the news or from friends. What are the core statements? What conclusions are being drawn? Are they logically sound?
I'm suddenly feeling like a detective in my own life. Okay, so we've got hypothesis, infer, and deduce. What's next in our advanced thinking toolkit?
Next up is synthesize. This is a truly powerful skill, especially in our information rich world. To synthesize means to combine a number of things into a coherent whole. It's about taking disparate pieces of information, ideas, or arguments and blending them to create a new, comprehensive understanding or product.
So it's not just summarizing, it's creating something new from the summary? Like making a smoothie from different fruits instead of just listing the fruits?
That's a perfect analogy, Jane. A summary just condenses, synthesis integrates and interprets. If you're writing a research paper, you don't just list what each source says, you synthesize those sources, finding common themes, identifying conflicting viewpoints, and forming your own argument based on that integrated understanding.
I can see how that applies to so many things. Like if I'm planning a trip, I'll look at flight prices, hotel reviews, local attractions, weather forecasts, and then I synthesize all that information to decide on the best time to go and what to pack. It's not just a list, it's a whole plan. How do people improve their synthesizing skills?
The best way is to actively seek out multiple perspectives on a topic, read different news sources, listen to various viewpoints, and then challenge yourself to formulate your own informed opinion that accounts for these different pieces. It's about moving beyond simply absorbing information to actively processing and connecting it.
That's crucial in today's world, where we're bombarded with information from every direction. Being able to sift through it and make sense of it all is a superpower.
It truly is. Now let's quickly review critical thinking and evaluate, which we covered in episodes 6 and 7. These are foundational to all advanced thinking.
Right. Critical thinking, if I recall, was about objectively analyzing and evaluating information to form a judgment. It's questioning everything, not just taking it at face value.
Spot on. It's asking, is this source reliable? Is the argument logical? Are there hidden biases? And then evaluate is the act of assessing the value, worth, or significance of something. So if critical thinking helps you dissect an argument, evaluating helps you decide if that argument holds water or is even important.
So I critically think about whether a news article is biased, and then I evaluate its overall trustworthiness and how much weight I should give its claims. They really go hand in hand.
Exactly. And these skills are absolutely essential for our final advanced thinking skill, reason. To reason is to think, understand, and form judgments logically. It's the overarching process that uses all these other skills we've discussed.
Okay, so reasoning is almost like the conductor of the cognitive orchestra, bringing all the instruments together.
Beautifully put, Jane. When you reason, you're using inference, deduction, synthesis, critical thinking, and evaluation to arrive at a conclusion, make a decision, or solve a problem. It's the mental process of constructing an argument, whether for yourself or to persuade others.
Can we talk about the word reason? It feels so fundamental, but how do we spell it and pronounce it correctly?
Of course, reason is pronounced re-zun. The stress is on the first syllable. It's spelled R-E-A-S-O-N. A simple word but a complex concept.
So, how does someone actively get better at reasoning? Because it feels like such a natural, ingrained human ability.
It is, but like any muscle, it strengthens with use. The best way to improve reasoning is to consciously apply all the skills we've talked about today. When faced with a problem or decision, don't just react, stop. First form hypotheses, then infer what might be happening from the available data. Can you deduce any certainties? Synthesize all the information you've gathered, critically evaluate your sources and your own assumptions, and finally reason your way to the most logical conclusion or best course of action.
That's a really clear step-by-step approach. It's like a mental checklist. I can imagine using that when I'm trying to figure out why my internet isn't working, or even when deciding which career path to take.
Exactly. Let's walk through a quick example. Imagine you hear about a new diet trend claiming rapid weight loss with no exercise. First, you form a hypothesis. This diet is too good to be true. Then you might infer from testimonials that people feel great, but the actual weight loss figures are vague. You'd critically evaluate the scientific claims. Are they peer-reviewed? What are the ingredients? You might deduce that if it sounds miraculous, it probably lacks scientific backing.
And then you'd synthesize all that information from different sources, the trends website, scientific articles, reviews, and reason that it's probably not a sustainable or healthy long-term solution. You wouldn't just jump on board because someone said it works.
Precisely. That's advanced thinking in action. It's not about being cynical, it's about being discerning. It protects you from misinformation, helps you make better personal and professional decisions, and fundamentally deepens your understanding of complex issues.
I mean, if there's one thing I hope our listeners take away from today, it's that these skills aren't just for academics or scientists. They're for everyone, in every aspect of life. From choosing a new phone to understanding a political debate, these tools are invaluable.
Absolutely. And the more you consciously practice them, the more intuitive they become. Start small. The next time you read an article, try to infer what the author's underlying message is. When you encounter a problem, try to deduce the root cause. When you're faced with conflicting information, practice synthesizing it into a cohesive understanding.
And don't forget those vocabulary tips. Infer, deduce, synthesize, reason. Getting the pronunciation and spelling right is part of mastering the concepts themselves. Knowing the precise meaning of these words gives you a clearer framework for your thoughts.
Indeed, so to recap our journey into advanced thinking, we touched upon hypothesis as a starting point. Then we moved to infer, drawing conclusions from evidence, deduce, reaching certain conclusions from logical premises, synthesize, combining disparate elements into a coherent whole, and then underpinning it all, critical thinking and evaluation, culminating in the master skill of reasoning, using logic and all these other skills to form judgments.
What a journey. I feel like my brain just did a full workout. And for those who want to revisit the basics, don't forget to check out episode 2 for more on hypothesis, and episodes 6 and 7 for a deeper dive into critical thinking and evaluation.
Great reminder, Jane. Building these advanced cognitive skills takes time and practice, but the rewards are immeasurable. You'll find yourself thinking more clearly, making better decisions, and engaging with the world on a much deeper level.
It truly transforms the way you see things. Thank you so much for joining us on this enlightening episode of Mind Matters. Keep those brain cells buzzing.
And thank you, Jane, for another brilliant conversation. To all our listeners, keep practicing those advanced thinking skills, and we'll catch you next time for more Mind Matters. Stay curious.
Hello, you're tuned in to Word Power, the podcast where we learn new English words every day.